I don't know when the idea first occurred to me to try and swim around St. John, but among the many logistics that had to be worked out was which direction to go. After a lot of thinking about it, we decided that it would be best to go around the south side first, heading towards the east, because we wanted to get out to that exposed water and through it before the winds picked up. And that way we would be out near or around the east end of the island by the time the winds really picked up, and would get a little bit of a gentle push down the Narrows and back around the northwest side of the island. This meant, though, that a good part of the swim would have to be in the dark because those winds begin to pick up as soon as the sun comes up. So swimming offshore the south side of the island in the dark was going to be something I needed to get used to. The whole trip around the island would be just under 23 miles.
You know it.
One of the groups that inspired me to do this swim was Team River Runner. This is a group in the States that helps wounded veterans, primarily to get them active in boating experiences, kayaking, river rafting. But they bring a bunch of guys here to help them swim during our beach-to-beach power swim event. There's blind swimmers, there's other swimmers that are missing limbs, and I wanted to raise money for them. Another source of inspiration was the St. John Cancer Fund. Too many people in the community and in my family have been affected by cancer, and I wanted to raise money for them as well. Of course, I needed a good crew to do the swim. I needed their help, and I could not have done the swim without the help of these people and those that aren't pictured here as well. The plan was to start swimming around 3 a.m. from the old seaplane ramp in Cruz Bay, and we did. It was dark and it was calm, so we were able to take advantage of those light wind conditions. The sun came up about 6 o'clock, but yet it takes a while for it to become light in the water. And we were headed towards Ram Head when things finally did become more like daylight. As the sun came up, the winds did begin to pick up, but it was nothing that we didn't expect. So the conditions were good. I can't say enough about my nighttime navigation team, Adam and Jude. They did a tremendous job keeping me on course in the dark and into that first stretch. Getting to Ram's Head was going to be a big deal. It was the first 8 miles. We were the farthest from shore that we were going to be, and we had the nighttime swimming behind us. So Ram Head was a big milestone. The swells had picked up a little bit, but once around Ram Head, we would be headed towards the east end with only about 3.5 miles to go till halfway. The 3.5 miles across Coral Bay is a long stretch. It had been 10 miles of getting slapped in the head by the waves, and I was ready for it to be finished. As we approached the east end, I could see a squall coming up, so we actually buckled down a little bit so we could make the turn and head down the Narrows before that squall hit us. And the timing worked out really well. We made it around the east end and got a little bit of a push from that squall, and then things flattened out quite a bit. Swimming down the Narrows, I really tried to relax and enjoy the swim. I was having a bit of a headache from either the cap or the goggles. I took some Advil to get that worked out. But this was the time I really tried to just really enjoy what was going on and look around me. The feedings were on a great schedule. Again, can't say enough to thank my crew for all their support and their motivation, for dealing with me being cranky at times, and being very positive and upbeat about the whole adventure. I really can't say enough about Adam. He was spectacular. Being my nighttime navigator was a last-minute addition for him, and he and Jude did a fantastic job. As I got to Fungi Passage in Whistling Key, I felt like I was back in home waters. A lot of training took place around these areas, so it was fun to be back in familiar waters again. Although most of the training takes place near shore, it was still great to see the similar land features as I breathed to the side. I never really let myself think about finishing, even at this point. Although I was now past 2/3 of the way, I just really wanted to focus on keeping my nutrition right, and keeping the energy going, and staying motivated and in the moment. Again, I can't say enough about how helpful my support crew was the entire time, and the plans to add additional people as we got to the North Shore worked well in keeping passing motorists away. After Johnson's Reef and Four Turtle Point, we were joined by some other kayakers that came out to visit, which was very fun. And then the last really point of question would be passing Turtle Point, where there can be a lot of currents, and it was spectacular. There weren't really any currents, there weren't really any waves. At this point, I couldn't have asked for much better conditions than I had. As I came around the corner, getting back into Cruz Bay was about the only time I really stopped to realize that I really was going to make this. I got a little bit emotional because I realized I'd left here in the dark, and now was making it back around in the daylight. But I pushed that away and concentrated on just doing what I had been doing for the past 12 hours, and that was swimming to the very end. Although this is something that you do by yourself, again, you can't do it without the help of a lot of people. And I really sincerely appreciate those that supported me out on the water, that supported me from the shore with well wishes and prayers. I really couldn't have done it without all of their help, and I sincerely appreciate it. My original goal was to raise a couple $1,000s to help the Cancer Fund and the Team River Runner folks come to the island, and I was overwhelmed by the generosity of the community in helping me raise over $12,000. Upon completing the swim, I submitted my documentation to the Marathon Swimmers Federation, and it was recognized as the first circumnavigation of St. John with a total distance of 22.9 miles.